Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jordan with the Laundromat Resource Podcast. This is show 97, and I am pumped that you're here today because today we're going to talk about all the crazy things going on in the world, some things that might be coming down the pipeline and what some people have to say about that, and what we need to know and what we can do as laundromat owners to be prepared for, what's happening now and what may be coming down the pipeline. So we'll talk a little bit about that here in a little bit. And man, I genuinely believe that there is big opportunity when transitions happen, when changes occur in the world, in the economy, and changes are happening all the time right now. So as business owners, as investors, as just people, we need to be looking for those opportunities. And we're going to talk about that today. In fact, we're just starting the discussion. That's what I hope, at least today. And I'm going to head over to laundromatresource.com/forums, go to the Laundromat forum, and I'm going to start a discussion on all things recession related, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Because by no means am I an authority on this or anything. I just want to put some stuff on your radar, get the gears turning, and hopefully facilitate a conversation that we can have so that we can all, come out of this thing better than before if we go down that path. And some say that we're already, down the path a little bit. So it depends on your take on it. But man, I think that, I've been saying forever, we're all better together, right? And so having these discussions, navigating this, together is key. It's crucial. Okay. So with that said, I want to jump into our Fastlane for today. Fastlane is, this is how Laundromat Resource can help put you on the fast lane towards financial freedom through laundromat ownership. Whether you're looking to buy your first one or you're looking to buy your 10th one, hopefully Laundromat Resource has something for you to help you take the next step, take your business to the next level. Today's Fastlane tip is, we have a new partner that I'm very, very excited about. Huge welcome to them as an official partner, which is Sense. And Sense, you may have seen them on a podcast episode in the past with Alex Chakowski. I've done a couple of webinars with them, so you may have seen them around, heard about them, heard them around. Well, they've decided to jump on board as an official partner over here. And what that means for you is they are offering $500 off your first year of Sense as a pro member. So if you go over to laundromatresource.com/pro, join the pro community, or if you're already a part of the pro community, this is applicable to you as well. You can join over there. And as of right now, the recording of this, the $500 off exceeds by quite a bit the cost of joining the pro community over there. So it's just a net gain. And it's only one of the partnerships that we have over there. We have others. You can go check them out, laundromatresource.com/pro. I think all of them, as of right now, exceed the value of the pro community, the cost to join. So if any one of those appeals to you, it just kind of makes sense. And in addition to that, you get access to all the other pro perks, which you can check out. Again, laundromatresource.com/pro. All right. Huge welcome to Sense. Excited to have you guys on board. Really, really appreciate you guys offering that to the pro community. And for those of you looking to, to add a business in a box, a software solution to your current business, or if you're coming into the business, to your new business, whether that's to help you run your self-service laundry, your wash, dry, fold, your pickup and delivery. Sense is that business in a box that's going to integrate all that stuff for you and make it faster, simpler, easier, better for you to serve your community. All right. Awesome. Welcome, you guys. I have another little pro community Fastlane tip, but we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. So I want to jump into this episode here, what we're talking about today. And what we're talking about is recession. I mean, I see it all over the place now. I pretty much actively avoid the news at all costs, but I still see talks of recession all over the place. Seeing them online, seeing them on Reddit. I'm at the gym and they have all the TVs up above the treadmill where I'm running. And, most of those have some sort of talk about recession. I'm seeing big CEOs, have, quotes and thoughts about whether we're heading towards a recession or maybe we're already in a recession. And I'm not really going to debate whether I think we're heading towards a recession or not. I think that's kind of irrelevant. But what I want to focus on today is, if we are, how do we make sure that we're prepared as laundromat owners, as business owners, as investors? How do we make sure that we're prepared? But just to kind of give you a little bit of, just so it's, I'm not just blowing smoke over here. Elon Musk says the U.S. has already entered a recession. Things are about to get worse. So that's what Elon Musk says. I'll link to the article where I found these quotes here. Charles Scharf. Oh yeah. The Wells Fargo CEO says a downturn is going to be hard to avoid. David Solomon, my handwriting's horrible. David Solomon of Goldman Sachs CEO says there's a possible chance. I can't even read this. Oh, there's a reasonable chance at some point that we have a recession or a very, very slow, sluggish growth. So that's the CEO of Goldman Sachs. And Lloyd Blankfein of Goldman Sachs, who's the senior chairman, says the U.S. economy is currently at a very, very high risk of recession. So CEO kind of downplaying it. The chairman of Goldman Sachs, is like, hey, it's happening. There's a huge chance of this, right? So, and there's other CEOs who think maybe not so much, or some that think things are just going to level. So there's different opinions all over the map. And again, there's more of these kind of quotes on the article I'll link to in the show notes, but you can find at laundromatresource.com/show97, by the way. But the point is, a lot of people are thinking, hey, we might be heading towards a recession. And there's a lot of interesting things happening that kind of point to that. Obviously, inflation is kind of pointing to that and all that. And real quick, since I just mentioned inflation, I want to make a quick point of why you have to own your own business. Okay. You have to own your own business. If you're listening to this right now and you don't own a laundromat yet, or you don't own your own business, you have got to find a way to own your own business. And I want to just take a quote from the Fed Chair Jerome Powell that I read on a U.S. News article, and I'll link to that also. And I read it and I was like, holy cow, like this, it seemed so crazy to me. I guess it's kind of subtle, but here's what Jerome Powell had to say about how they want to help curb inflation right now, which is really high as of the recording of this. I think the reported is like 8 point something, but all the things we're spending all our money on are 20% plus. And so we're seeing crazy inflation right now. And here's Jerome Powell's plan on how to curb inflation. According to this article on US News, he says, Powell said that the Fed's goal was to raise rates to cool borrowing and spending so that companies would reduce their huge number of job openings. Okay, so we all probably know, the Fed's main tool is being able to manipulate rates, right? And so they're raising rates to hopefully try to cool off inflation. Here's how they anticipate, or hope at least, that this will play out, and how their increase in rates will help curb inflation. So in turn, so they're going to raise rates so that it will reduce the huge number of job openings. In turn, Powell hopes companies won't have to raise pay as much, thereby easing inflation pressures without significant job losses or an outright recession. Okay. So the plan is to raise rates to reduce job openings so that companies don't have to pay as much. And for me, I have sort of a mathematical mind, a mathematical background. I was a physics major, right? And I'm looking at this transitive property, right? Inflation is up and wages are up, right? And and so they have this sort of a relationship between inflation to the rates that the Feds are going to raise, right? And so there's an inverse relationship, or that's the idea at least. So if the rates go up, inflation hopefully will go down. That's their goal, right? But the way that it's going to do it is, so rates go up, which means less job openings, which means companies don't have to pay as much. There's a more competitive market, right, for companies to be able to hire. So what I'm seeing in this statement is a blatant sort of admission that, your wages, they don't matter. They're not ever going to help you get ahead in life, right? Because wages are directly tied to inflation. As inflation goes up, your wages are going to go up, probably at the same rate, actually probably at a slower rate, as a lot of people feel like, at least, right? And probably not going to exceed inflation. And so, what they're hoping is that inflation will go down so that wages will stop going up, right? And there's this kind of one-to-one or ish relationship between inflation and wages. And so if your goal is to escape the rat race, if your goal is to get ahead in life, if you have ambitions to have more in life, you have got to own your own business, because working a 9 to 5, Jerome Powell just said in this in this game plan here, working your 9 to 5 won't help you get ahead in life, right? And now, obviously, there are things that you can do, right? Spend a lot less than you make, save it, invest it, and you can get ahead that way. But now you're investing, right? Investing business, kind of that cash flow quadrant, right? You got to be a business owner or an investor in order to get ahead in life. Because if you're self-employed or if you're an employee, you're just not going to, the whole plan from the Fed is to make sure that you guys, us, on the the left side of the cash flow quadrant, the employees and the self-employed make less money so that inflation will come down. Okay. So all that to say, I just wanted to kind of point that out. Like, it's so important that you get your own business, whether that's a laundromat or you build your own agency, or you just have kind of a side hustle, or you're investing, you're saving your money and you're investing it into, stocks, real estate, whatever, but you're investing your money. You've got to be doing that if you want to get ahead in life. So quick aside, but I just read that quote and I was like, holy cow, like that's pretty crazy that, that quote. And I probably didn't explain it super well, but, go check out the article. I'll link it again, in the show notes, laundromatresource.com/show97. Go read that again. And also link to Cash Flow Quadrant in case you haven't read it. I really like that book. It's a Robert Kiyosaki book, and I think it's great. Okay. So let's back it up. Okay. This is not inflation necessarily talk. I want to talk recession, because again, there's a lot of buzz going around about recession and what does that mean for us? And, and then what do we do about it? Okay. Now, I think during a recession, as I look back, I saw, 2008, even 2020 briefly a little bit before it kind of jumped back up and skyrocketed again. But, you see people kind of losing a lot, and you see other people kind of making a lot during recessions, right? And so the question becomes, if we're heading to a recession, I'm not arguing whether we will or not, but if we are, how can we add a zero to our net worth or to our income during that recession, right? We don't want to be on the side that's not prepared, that's going to lose our businesses, lose our fortune. We want to be on the side of, people who are coming out the other end in much better shape, who are picking up assets, who are strengthening their business, right? Gaining market share, those types of things, right? So, if this is a time where we can add a zero to our net worth, add a zero to our income, what what do we need to know and what do we need to do as business owners? Okay, so let's talk about just briefly. I'm just going to bring up, this is not going to be an exhaustive list, but I want to talk a little bit about some of the implications if a recession were to happen, or if a recession is happening right now. What are some of the implications as business owners for us, right? So now, obviously, if there's a recession, there's less money going around. So people are going to cut their spending a little more. So that just means there's going to be less to go around. Now, laundromats, have long been touted as recession-proof business. I'm not sure I would go so far as to say that, but I would go so far as to say recession-resistant, right? So we saw in 2020 that laundromats are an essential business, and it's not because somebody gave us that title. It's not because somebody went and lobbied for us to be deemed an essential business. Is because we're essential, right? It's because laundromats, people need clean clothes, no matter almost no matter what's going on in the world, right? You need clean clothes, right? So it is essential, and it's not because of any, designation we were given. It's just the nature of the business. Okay. Which is awesome. Right. And that's a huge perk and a huge reason why I think laundromats are actually going to, they're poised to become more valuable if we head towards recession because of that. Okay. So that's one thing, is that people are cutting spending. However, we have this advantage of being essential here. Now, that doesn't mean that our revenue might drop still. Right. And a lot of us saw that in 2020. As things shut down and people weren't spending as much for a little while, business dropped, 10, 20, 40%, for some of us. Right. But we stayed open and all that. So, still a rhythmic business, still an essential business. People still need to do laundry. However, they may do less laundry, or they may try to shove more laundry into those 40 pounders that really should be for the 80 pounders, right? You know what I'm talking about if you own a laundromat, right? So trying to pinch pennies however they can. Maybe they'll hang dry more often, whatever, right? So we may see a slight drop in revenue. However, business should still be pretty rhythmic, pretty consistent there. Okay. So that's one implication. One positive, and, Jerome Powell, kind of alluded to this, but as business owners, as people who employ other people, one of the big complaints over the last couple of years for businesses in general, laundromats specifically, because that's all we really care about, right? But one of the big complaints is finding good help. It's been difficult to find employees who are willing to work for what we can pay them, right? And so as a recession, might sink in, that creates more demand for jobs. And that allows us as business owners to, number one, be a little more picky. Number two, be a little more economical in how much we have to pay or what we have to offer to people. But even more importantly, in the way that I would encourage us to think about things is, is this an opportunity for us to upgrade our workforce? Right. And that's what we should be, taking a look at, in my estimation of things, as if a recession comes this way and all of a sudden there's more people who are interested in the jobs that we have to offer, is to go through and evaluate our current workforce and say, hey, is there anybody who's underperforming? And obviously you need to go through, due diligence and allow them, communicate with an employee what they need to do to get better, all those things, lead them well. However, if there's somebody that you just had to have because you couldn't find anybody else and you needed a warm body, but they're really not performing, this could be an opportunity for you to say, hey, you really need to step up your game, or I'm going to replace you because I got some people lined up now, right? So you might be able to upgrade your workforce during a recession if that comes. Okay. All right. Number three is kind of interesting. So a lot of times what happens in a recession is that revenues drop for businesses, right? And so what we do a lot of times and rightfully so, is look for ways to cut costs. So what I have found is that one of the places that gets cut first in terms of, cutting costs is marketing budgets, right? And I see that with laundromats, but I see that all over the place, right? So one of the things that gets cut is marketing budgets. Now, this is where it can be a little interesting, right? So marketing ideally should be more of an investment than an expense. And ideally, every dollar you spend on marketing should bring you back more than $1, right? That's the goal, by and large, is for your marketing dollars to be invested to be worth more by driving, more customers your way or upselling to new services or whatever the case may be, right? And so as if a recession should happen and we're cutting costs, I think we'll see a lot of our competitors cut marketing costs early and first. And what that allows us to do as business owners is to say, no, I'm going to look at my marketing as an investment and I'm not going to cut that cost, or maybe I'm going to invest even more into marketing than before, because it can really be an opportunity to gain market share. And I think this could be a really big opportunity if you're offering a wash, dry, fold service, or and especially a pickup and delivery service, right? That can be a good time to say, I'm going to invest those dollars. I'm going to find other ways to cut costs, but I'm going to invest those dollars into marketing instead of cutting the marketing budget. Now, which is really interesting. A couple of weeks ago, I had to take a last minute trip to Belize for like a week or so. And I was driving around in Belize and there was this big billboard, kind of this little podunk town in Belize on the coast. And, there's this huge billboard and it basically said, the economy's doing what? And you're cutting your marketing budget, right? And it was like, hey, now is not the time to cut marketing, in this little town in Belize, huge billboard. So I was like, man, that's pretty funny that I see that here, because I think that that's just generally what I see happening a lot of times, is that people will cut their marketing budgets early or even first, at a time where if you invested more money, or at least continue to invest your money in marketing, it actually could pay bigger dividends than if things are actually booming at that time. Okay. So competitor marketing budgets might go down, which could create an opportunity for you if you can continue to invest in marketing or even ramp up your investment in marketing. Okay. Number 4, another implication of a recession. And this is kind of more an implication of inflation. And in the early side of recession is that, borrowing costs rise, right? And a lot of times the way we get out of a recession is that borrowing costs actually drop. But we're seeing right now, this is June 2022, and we're seeing right now, interest rates that we haven't seen for a very, very long time, right? We're seeing borrowing costs rise pretty dramatically, and they're continuing to rise, pretty rapidly, much more rapidly than we've seen in decades, probably. And that's more a result of the inflation increasing and less a result of recession. But what I see in this current environment is inflation going up. So borrowing costs are going up to try to, again, hedge that inflation and knock it back down. And so we're seeing borrowing costs going up now, and you'll continue to see that if we kind of merge into recession, we'll continue to see that going forward, especially early on in the recession. And then we may see rates drop at that point. I don't know. I'm just speculating right now. But that is, what I could see happening pretty easy. So, one of the implications of our current environment, increasing inflation and the early parts of recession, is that borrowing costs rise, right? So things become more expensive. So if you're looking to borrow money to buy a laundromat, that's going to become more expensive, which means may put certain laundromats out of your price range, or it may, just drive up your monthly expenses. And so you're cash flowing less. If you're looking to retool or add new machines, the cost of that's going to be, continue to increase. And so again, driving down your cash flow for your business. So something to keep in mind there. Another thing that, we might see is tighter margins, and tighter margins in our business. Now, one of the huge perks of laundromats is that we have pretty good margins, and we're looking at 20 to 30% margins, unleveraged a lot of times, and that's pretty good. There's not a lot of investments or businesses that require so little. Not saying nothing, because it does require something to run a business. However, relatively speaking, little time investment, depending on how you run your business. But you just don't see that very often. Okay. So, but we may see margins, start to drop as cash flow drops, as revenues drop. Things become more expensive. People are spending a little less. Utility prices continue to increase like they've been doing. All the rents continuing to go up. All that stuff can squeeze our margins a little bit. So just something to be prepared for, and to compensate for, in terms of, how we're pricing things, how we're positioning ourselves in the market. The other kind of thing that I wanted to hit on, the last kind of implication, and then I want to talk about how do we prepare going forward, in case we go down this road. The last kind of thing I wanted to hit on is that, during a recession, more assets are sold at a discount, right? The easiest place to see that is in the stock market, right? Now it's difficult to buy as you're watching, stocks plummet or crypto plummet, or, we haven't hit this yet, but if real estate starts to plummet, it's difficult to buy those as you're watching the prices go down. However, if you believe that those prices are going to come back up and rebound at some point, then these assets can be sold at a discount, during a recession. And, people in 2010, 11, 12 who bought real estate or who bought stocks at those points in time, have been booming ever since then. Except for a couple little bumps, have been booming pretty good, since then. And so what they were able to do is buy low, and then, wait for things to kind of rebound. So if you got time on your side, you may be able to find assets at a discount. Okay. All those kind of implications. And again, not saying that we're going into a recession necessarily. I'm no expert in this, by any means. However, I do want to talk about, okay, if we do go down this path, and again, this is not going to be an exhaustive list, but if we do end up going down the recession path, or, even a stagnant path, what can we as business owners be doing to prepare for it? Okay. I wrote down a few ideas here, and I wanted to throw them out there. But again, I want the discussion to continue, because I am not, the expert. This is not an exhaustive list. There are a lot of things going on, in the world, in the economy, social, politically. There's just a ton going on, and it's a lot to wrap your head around. And then to bring that down into how does that affect us as laundromat owners is crazy. And it's very difficult to do. Right. So that's why I love to have a discussion about this on the forums, laundromatresource.com/forums, if you're interested in that discussion. So with that said, here's a few things that I think that we can do to prepare. Number one is lean out. Okay. Lean out your business. I've been seeing a few more articles about, businesses, big corporations, laying people off, cutting costs, those types of things where, I'm always looking at what are the big corporations doing, because, they invest billions, millions, whatever, hundreds of thousands of dollars into trying to figure out how all this stuff is working and what the future is going to be like, so they can position themselves well. Well, guess what? I don't have hundreds of thousands, millions, or billions of dollars to invest in that myself. So one of the things I like to do is watch these big corporations and see what they're doing. Not that they're always going to be right. However, as I'm watching layoffs start happening in some of these big companies, costs being cut, I'm seeing businesses lean out. And I think now is a good time for us as laundromat owners to start to lean out our businesses, cut costs that we don't need, that aren't going to move your business forward. I think that's a big key there. Cut costs that aren't moving your business forward, right? So, I talked about marketing early. Well, now's a good time to get a grip on how is my marketing working? Is it moving my business forward? If not, do I need to cut costs there, or do I need to find other ways of doing my marketing to improve my business, right? But leaning out right now, and cutting back expenses is, I think, a prudent thing to do, a wise thing to do. And, depending on your business, that could look like a whole lot of different things, right? It could be, cutting down, in your what was I going to say? Oh, your TV bill, your cable bill, and installing Atmosphere TV, which, by the way, if you use the link in the show notes or in the description down below, you can get Atmosphere TV for free. Lean out those expenses. If you need to, trim down your staff and streamline that a little bit more, or whatever the case may be, leaning down, cutting expenses, and running lean during this time. Now, number two, another way to prepare is, hey, you know what? Cash flow is king, right? And we see this a lot in real estate investing, where, a lot of people who did okay during the 2008, 2009 downturn did okay because their real estate cash flowed. And yes, they lost 20, 30, 40% equity in their real estate, but it didn't matter that much because it cash flowed. And as long as they made the payments and they didn't have to sell it, it didn't really hurt them. And so right now, kind of piggybacking on that leaning out, is focus on cash flow, looking for ways to solidify and even increase your cash flow in your business, because you're only going to get hurt if, in your business during a recession, if, number one, your cash flow dips below what you need it to be, or number two, you need to sell your business at the bottom and you need to sell quickly, right? And a lot of times we can avoid that or ride that out if we have solid cash flow. Okay. So looking for ways to solidify your cash flow and even increase your cash flow during this time, so that if a recession happens, you're fine. You can ride it out because your cash flow is great. Okay. The other number three, I guess, is have cash on hand. I was just kind of looking around. I think Buffett's got cash on hand. Actually, he started buying up a lot this year. 2022, I think. Musk got cash on hand. Again, looking at the big guys and what they're doing, having cash on hand can do two things for you during a recession. Number one, it can help you ride out the lean times. And if you've got, a period of time where there's not enough cash flow to keep your business afloat, you have cash on hand to help you, survive through the lean times until things kind of rebound, right? So that's one. It's sort of an insurance policy, right? And it's hard to hold a whole bunch of cash when inflation's going crazy because you're losing value there. However, having that cash on hand can be a big deal to help you through lean times. But number two also is that having cash on hand, I mentioned already, a lot of times assets go on sale at a discount when you're in a recession. And so having cash on hand can help you pounce on opportunities when they come your way. If your competitor down the road needs to sell their laundromat, or a piece of real estate comes up, or, whatever, you want to throw it into crypto because you think it's coming back or whatever, you have cash to, either help you through the lean times and or pounce on opportunities when they come your way. And that is a huge way that people, can make a fortune during recessionary times, is having that cash and being able to scoop up those assets at a discount, and and holding those until things rebound. So, number 4 is having long-term debt is awesome, especially during inflationary times, and I'm talking, good debt, not bad debt. Obviously, I'm talking about debt that you utilize to acquire assets, whether that's buying a laundromat, buying equipment, buying real estate, whatever. Having long-term debt is awesome. And the higher inflation is, the better it is to have long-term debt, because it makes it easier and easier to pay that debt off as inflation goes up. However, during recession, you don't want to be over leveraged. Okay. So what I would be, recommending if you're trying to prepare for a potential recession is use long-term debt. It's awesome. Can help you acquire assets that you couldn't acquire otherwise. However, don't over leverage yourself, because that's a good way to get yourself into trouble, during recessionary times. If your revenue falls, too low and you can't keep up with your payments, or, whatever the case may be, don't over leverage. You don't want to be over leveraged during a recession. Okay. So, whatever that means for you, take a look at your risk tolerance, take a look at, how much you're leveraged, and assess, from that point. Okay. Number 5, preparing for a recession is, and this is like right now, and I would say this is any time, but especially going into recession, now is the time to level up your operations and level up your customer experience. Okay. If we go into a recession, or if we don't go into a recession, leveling up your operations and leveling up your customer service, your customer experience is only going to help you. And I think it helps you exponentially more in recessionary times, right? Adding more value, offering your customers more, even if that's just a smile and a help, hauling laundry in from the car, or, whatever the case may be, a little touch on your wash, dry, fold order, or your pickup and delivery order, whatever the case may be, you want to level up your customer service, and you want to level up your operations. Again, being more efficient, that way, you're operating at full efficiency, giving yourself the best opportunity to, succeed. And that's whether we end up going recession or not. So, leveling up that customer experience and operations, critical time, especially going into a recession, if we are. Okay. Number 6, I was thinking a lot about this, and, I've mentioned already a couple of times, man, this is just complex. We've got inflation doing crazy things, and there's different amounts of, increases in different things. Natural gas is like through the roof, and, gasoline is up there too, and food costs are going up. And, I've been hearing more and more that food costs are actually going to go up a lot more even here pretty soon, potentially. And, all this stuff is going on right now. And then the Fed is trying to, increase rates to curb that inflation. And, there's wars going on, there's famines going on, there's natural disasters happening. There's like stuff going on all over the place. There's local laws being developed. There's national laws being developed. Things are insane. It's a lot to kind of juggle and keep in mind and figure out what does that mean for us as laundromat owners, right? And so, as I was thinking about how to best prepare for a recession, I think one of the best things that we can do is be a part of a community that is thinking about this stuff with us. Both we're, monitoring changes together. Hey, did you guys see this? What do you think about this article? What do you think about this headline? What do you think about this new law? Whatever, monitoring changes, but also sharing best practices, right? And that's a huge part of the podcast. Why I do the podcast is so that we can share best practices together. But being a part of a community and being able to navigate, especially turbulent times, but even not, even just regular, I think regular times are normally turbulent anyways, right? As a business owner and an investor, right? And so having a community that can help us navigate that is huge. It's huge, right? And, I'll just, as a confession, I have tended to operate more as a lone wolf on a lot of my business, especially early on. I did a lot of the stuff myself and tried to learn a lot of stuff myself. And, more and more, and especially as I started Laundromat Resource and I saw the power of having strong community, more and more have I seen just the power of that community. And I think during these big transitionary times that are critical, that we're making good decisions, right? Again, in the recession, a lot of people lose their wealth and a lot of people gain wealth. And we want to obviously be on the gain wealth side. Well, our chances of ending up better off, no matter what the economy does, grows exponentially, I believe, if we're in a like-minded community who, is helping each other, right? Okay. So all that to say, join a community, right? And obviously I would love for you to join the Laundromat Resource community, right? We have the free community and we have the pro community. And one of the things that I have decided to kind of fast track, because this was a plan for fall, but I want to start it now, is doing some more community-based stuff for the pro community, right? And so we're implementing, starting now, we're implementing, a pro community way of communicating with each other, with the pro community, amongst each other, right? And so hopefully what I'm envisioning is more of these discussions about what's going on, more of these discussions about best practices and resources and all of that, right? And then also, and what that's going to look like is sort of forum-esque, but on a third-party platform, right? And I've been kind of kicking it around back and forth. Do I host it on Laundromat Resource website? Do I host it on a private Facebook group, which a lot of people have recommended? However, kind of in line with Laundromat Resource, and I realize this is going to lose some people, but in line with Laundromat Resource, I am tired of us being behind everything, right? Like technologically, in our mindset, all this stuff. Go back and listen to my podcast episode on the laundromat industry needs to grow up, right? Like I'm tired of us being behind the times. And there's so many tools that are better than Facebook groups, that are better than, a forum on my website. And I want to have something that's convenient and easy. And so we're going with a third party sort of platform to host, these discussions. But then also I want to do, live, a couple times a month, live video discussions for pro community members, where we can start talking about some of this stuff together. Again, sharing what we see going on and sharing best practices. So all that's to be said, man, I hope that you join, a community. I would love for it to be, the Laundromat Resource community. You can check it out, laundromatresource.com/join or laundromatresource.com/pro. You can check those out there. And obviously, I would love for you to be a part of our community. However, I just think it's important that you join a community of people who are forward-looking, who are, like-minded with you. So whether that's some other, business, a mastermind or business community or whatever, like your success whether you're just getting started or you've been in this industry, forever or somewhere in between, your success going forward is greatly enhanced when you're in a community of like-minded people. So join that community. I think that's a great way to prepare for a potential recession, but also just in general, good business practice is to be in a community of like-minded people. Cool. Okay. Number 7, the last thing that I want to mention and how to prepare is to look for opportunities as they start to come about, right? If we're able to do some of these things, to lean out, to have good cash flow, to have cash on hand, all these things that we just talked about, if we're able to do those things, that gives us the ability to look for more opportunities. Maybe it's an opportunity to scoop up another laundromat. Maybe it's an opportunity to scoop up a location to build another laundromat. Maybe that's a real estate opportunity or a stock opportunity or an investment in a startup opportunity or whatever the case may be, right? Look for opportunities, because during recessions, opportunities present themselves. And it's the people who are, number one, looking for them, and number two, have the ability to act on those opportunities that typically come out ahead from a recession. Okay. All right. So again, this is just meant to begin a discussion because the discussions are happening all over the place around us. And I haven't really seen any discussions in our business, in our industry yet, about a potential recession. What does that mean for us? And, how do we navigate and how do we prepare for a potential recession? So hopefully this is just, got your creative juices flowing, your mind moving a little bit, thinking about, where things are heading and how you can come out ahead during those times. Go join the discussion, laundromatresource.com/forums. Click on the Laundromat forum, and there'll also be a link in the show notes, laundromatresource.com/show97, or in the description if you're on YouTube down below. And hey, if you're ready to go and, you're looking for a community to join to help you find that financial freedom, and if it's through laundromat ownership, consider joining the community, laundromatresource.com/pro, and, enjoy all the perks we have over there, including the library of knowledge, all of our partnerships, including the brand new partnership we have with Sense, the new community that we're just launching, and more. So go check that out over there. Love to have you on board. Very, very excited about the opportunities that may be presenting themselves to us kind of going forward, whether we, head towards recession or not. There's always opportunities. Keep your eyes open. And I think a lot of these things that we talked about today, if not all of them, are just good practices, whether we're heading towards recession or not. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. And looking forward to being in community with more of you. And for the rest of you guys, you're still a family. You're still a community here. So, man, looking forward to seeing you around on the podcast, on the YouTube channel, in the forums, in the pro community, at a webinar, whatever the case may be. Love seeing you guys around. All right. See ya next week. Peace.